One of the people called to testify before that panel is a former Pentagon chief of staff under President Trump, Kash Patel. And according to Mr. Patel, this was not a good experience for him. He joins us now from, where are you? Where are you? Okay, from Washington. It's right here. I should have seen it and I didn't see it. Okay, so let's very slowly walk through this. Were you subpoenaed to testify in front of the House panel?
So not only was I subpoenaed, and thanks for having me on your show. I'm so happy to be here. Not only was I subpoenaed, I found out about the subpoena through the fake news media who called me in the late evening hours. The committee issued the subpoena. The committee didn't even have the decency to communicate with me by letter or phone call beforehand. They just issued the subpoena, leaked it to the press, and had the United States Marshal show up to my door the next morning.
Okay. I hope they gave you directions to get there. But anyway, so you, as a loyal American and former Pentagon chief of staff, you answer and you go and you testify. And there wasn't any problem. You didn't fight it. You just showed up, correct?
Yeah, look, as the guy who ran the Russiagate investigation for the House Intel Committee under Chairman Nunes, I think committees have an important constitutional and congressional oversight role. I just think this one's is starkly different, as you outlined, and very politically motivated. But I was always
but you didn't fight it. You didn't do a Steve Bannon. You came in, and I guess you expected to be asked questions about the Pentagon's response and preparation for January 6th. Is that, I would think that's why you were there, correct?
You would think the January 6th committee would ask me questions about the January 6th matter, but the bulk of the interview did not have anything to do with January 6th. And, you know, my lawyers at some point in time will allow me to say more publicly, but they cost me a fortune to prepare to testify about January 6th. But we spent more time talking about Afghanistan, Somalia, Iraq, and Secretary Esper and Gina Haspel than we did on January 6th.
All right, so the panel members wanted dirt, I would assume, on the Trump administration's participation in various foreign affairs. Is that correct? Is that a fair summary?
I think that's what they were going for. I'm not sure what punchlines they're going to get from me at the Department of Defense.
But you heard the questions. I mean, they obviously weren't looking for you to tell them good things about the Trump's interaction with Afghanistan, correct? They didn't want positive things, did they?
No, because they didn't want to hear about our successful withdrawal plan, conditions-based withdrawal that was working.
Right. So it was basically a fishing expedition to try to get you to say something negative about the Trump administration that they could leak to the press. That's what they wanted. Now, it's absurd because, as you know, in the Trump-O'Reilly history tour, Donald Trump said, hey, on the 5th of January, I called the defense secretary and asked that he suggest that 10,000 Guard troops be moved to Washington. And that's true. We confirm that. You know that's true, right?
Yeah, I was in the Oval Office when we had that conversation with the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense. And not only was it 10,000, it was 10 to 20,000, whatever was necessary anywhere in the world. And as you and your viewers know, that's required under the law before any National Guard can be deployed.
Okay, but the Guard wasn't deployed. Do you know why?
Yeah, the second part of the law. The second part of the law requires that a mayor or governor or United States federal agency has to request the National Guard before its deployment. It requires presidential authorization and a request from Mayor Bowser in this case, or the United States Capitol Police in this case. And we went to them before January 6th, after getting President Trump's authorization. And we said, do you guys need National Guard men and women around the Capitol? Mayor Bowser and the Capitol Police said no in writing to the Department of Defense before January 6th.
So they put it in writing. We don't want the National Guard to protect the Capitol on January 6th. Is that correct?
They wanted about 300 troops. We told them we had an upwards of 10 to 15,000 available. They said no, that was not needed.
But 300 troops didn't show up.
300 troops were there the morning of January 6th because that request came in the end of December from Mayor Bowser, and that
Well,
300
where
was
were they? We didn't see them at the Capitol.
no. So what happens with National Guard is usually they are traffic duty police officers and law enforcement assistants to aid in the direction of traffic for automobiles and peoples and put up structures such as fencing.
So they were
not
traffic
assigned to
people? They were, okay. Now, Nancy Pelosi's name has been bantered around by President Trump himself as an impediment to getting National Guard troops to protect the Capitol. Is that true?
Well, the United States Capitol Police reports to Nancy Pelosi in the chain of command. So she would have to have been informed and decided with the United States Capitol Police to refuse President Trump's authorization for National Guardsmen and women. So it's logically the only way it could have happened.
Did you tell all that to the House committee on January 6th?
So being a little careful here with what because they're looking to set me up in a perjury trap or whatever and refer me over to DOJ. I'll just tell you that I've said the same thing consistently. It's in the DOD outline. Nancy Pelosi's behaviors in the outline, and I would not say anything different to you here today.
Okay, so you did tell them. You told the panel when you testified on, what was it, December 9th. You told them, hey, the president and the Pentagon were ready to send 10 to 20,000 troops, but the Capitol Police said no. You told them that.
Not only did I tell them that, I submitted the DOD timeline that was written and approved by the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of the Army, who the National Guard reports to, and a dozen other people. And I also introduced the DOD Inspector General report under Biden, which said that the Department of Defense acted appropriately and swiftly in relation to the events of January 6th and the deployment of National Guard. So when I went in with those two things being prepared to discuss, those two important facts about January 6th, that would seem to be a speed bump in the conversation that was not a focal point for the January 6th committee.
All right, I don't know what speed bump means, but my next question is, did Liz Cheney and the others follow up going, that's incredible? We didn't know that, or because remember, members of this panel have made charges that Donald Trump instigated this riot at the Capitol. Now, this obliterates that, and so does the president's statements to me. It obliterates, so we haven't heard much of that now. It's now he encouraged it rather than instigated it. But did they follow up to you, Mr. Patel, about the process of the National Guard and why it didn't show up?
So in my deposition, my interview, some of the members beamed in via Zoom or Skype or whatever it was, but not a single member of the committee asked me a question. It was staff-led in the room there. They could have asked me questions, but Ms. Cheney and the rest did not ask me any questions.
Unbelievable. And I knew that to be true. I know that to be true because, as you pointed out, this thing is only in motion to hurt Donald Trump. It's not in motion to find the truth to the American people or anything like that. Now, you have asked that the transcript of your Q&A with the panel be publicly released so that the American people can see it. Is that correct? And what has been a response to that request?
Absolutely, 100% right. The whole point of constitutional oversight is for American citizens. So they should see the testimony, the question and answer. And the response has sort of been, we're not really ready to do that, and we'll get back to you.
Do you think the panel would be embarrassed if that transcript comes out?
I think the truths will embarrass some of the positions that people have taken in the media and on that panel. And all I did was go in there and tell the truth, which is backed up by written evidence in the timeline in the DOD IG report.
Okay. Now, you were an advisor to President Trump. You know him well, as you just said at the beginning of this interview. You were in the Oval Office when he made the request, and it wasn't an order, it was a request for the National Guard on January 5th. If you were advising him now, would you tell him to do that press conference on Thursday?
I'm not a media guy. I'm not a comms guy. I've been a national security guy. I'd tell him if he was going to do a press conference on January 6th, focus on the achievements in the national security sector that we had under President Trump. And as you highlighted in the beginning of the show, you're definitely the media expert there. That the media is setting him up for some traps that he could fall into, but hopefully he doesn't take the bait.
It's very, very risky. You know, the one vulnerability that he has that I reported yesterday is that he didn't act swiftly enough on the day, January 6th, 1 year ago Thursday, to say to the people invading the Capitol, stop, cease. He could have tweeted that out. Remember, this was when he had access to Twitter. And he waited a few hours before making a statement that y'all should leave the Capitol grounds. Now, that I think is a legitimate point of discussion. Am I wrong?
I think you're absolutely right. It's a legitimate point of discussion, but it's not one that I don't think this committee is interested in. And even if the president were to go out on January 6th and say he engaged thoughtfully and also preemptively, like he did with the Department of Defense, I don't think most of the media would care.
But that's all they have now against Donald Trump on January 6th. They say he encouraged it, the Capitol riot. But if he comes out and says, you know, maybe I wasn't quick enough, but I was studying the situation, whatever he wants to frame it, however he wants to frame it. Because I asked him twice about that. If you had to do it again, would you have acted quicker? He didn't really answer. Were you there on January 6th in the White House?
No, I was in the Pentagon.
Okay, so you don't know what happened there and why there was a 3-hour delay between the first part of the Capitol incursion and we issued a statement. Okay, well, look, Mr. Patel, we really appreciate your honesty and your straightforward answers to my questions. That's very good for me. I don't get that a lot. I get a lot of dancing usually, but you answered the questions. And then we'll bring you back. I hope you will watch the press conference. And if you see anything on Thursday that you can amplify on, please let us know and we'll bring you back, okay?
I'd love to be back anytime, and I appreciate you taking the chance to talk to me. And if your viewers could go to fightwithkash.com with a K and check out my new trust and foundation, I'd appreciate it. We're helping raise money.
Give us the address again.
It's fightwithkash.com, Cash with a K.
Fightwithkash.com. Okay, Cash with a K. Thank you very much, Mr. Patel. Nice to talk to you. All right.
Next time.